4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Alice, let's begin with... Oh, wait. First of all, happy birthday. I can't believe we're not doing anything for your birthday. You've shown no interest in having anything done. All I did is cook 2 chicken sausages for you 14 hours ago. We should just ate 1 hour ago. So nothing? You don't want anything?
I'm good.
Wow. Now it's creature
As I said
comfort.
to you earlier, all I would like for my birthday is for you just do not yell at me and hassle me for like 10 minutes in a row.
What did I yell about? Or hassle you about today? Other than ask about the podcast. That's it.
And about Anson's play audition.
Ugh.
See?
Enough. Play company in Newburyport. Take a breather for 5 fucking seconds.
They're doing it for us. Our
Leave
kid
me
wants
alone.
to do it. They're not bothering us. We're
really?
using their
No, absolutely. Jesus. 5 seconds.
Your kid's excited about
5
it.
seconds. Just there's one of me and there's one of Alice. So whether it's a play, that it requires, because the other play just happened, let's get right into the next one. God forbid there be any blank space in any part of the week.
It has nothing.
I'm going to say the same thing. You know what? I'm going to say the same thing. I love the karate program we did, but leave me the fuck alone. Oh! Guess what? In this class, the parents have to be part of the class, so you have to do it too. You're doing karate too. Please stay off your phone. What the fuck is that? Leave me alone. God damn it. There's not enough of time. I don't have enough time. I'm not taking karate. You're doing karate. You teach karate. Leave me alone.
Says the person who wants me to sign all the kids up for swim lessons.
Well, they need to learn to swim, Alice, because they seem like white trash if they can't swim. It's ridiculous. Oh, God, the kids didn't grow up in Dorchester, Alice, where the kids swim do the Dorchester special version of swimming, where they're moving their heads side to side while doggy paddling, pretend like they don't know why, that it's actually based on blowing into the water and then getting oxygen and whatever. We have to find them 6 or 7 fundamental things so
Okay.
What? They already live close enough to close enough to the poverty line. What I'm saying is, these other things, plays and karate and sports and this, leave Tom Shattuck alone. Leave me alone. You handle them. They are yours. We give you a check and they're yours. I don't want to bond with my son over something right in the middle of karate. I don't want to bond.
Some people want to bond with their kids.
Oh, no. There's no time. I've got stuff going on all the time. I'm not trying to nail karate because all karate classes do this. It's anything. Just
no, everything's like that.
No,
Everything is
leave
like,
us alone.
yes, and now you have to bring in canned goods for the food drive, and now you have to volunteer at concessions for that, and like everything is like that. That's part of what life is.
Oh, is that part of what life is?
Mm-hmm.
Part of what life is also leaving me alone. If you're getting the money to do T-ball, Tom Shattuck's job is to drive the child to T-ball. At that point, it's all you.
Yeah, but the people doing T-ball are volunteers. Also.
Okay, I'd be fine with us not doing T-ball.
Okay.
I'd be fine with them having no activity. I don't understand how this is that everything's got to be, we're going to need you. We're going to need a little bit of you. A little bit of your time. There's no time. There's 5 of these people. Even the
I like them,
skiing thing is I got reprimanded for not texting or showing up. We'd like you to show up 15 minutes before. I understand you want me to show up 15 minutes before, but I couldn't show up 15 minutes before because fucking life was happening 15 minutes before, and I don't have time to show up 15 minutes. We'd like you to show up 15 minutes. Could you please make sure you?
I did send you the message detailing the pickup procedures that gave you the information that they want you to be there 15 minutes before, and all the rest of this information.
I get
give
shut
you all
out of
that.
doing my show, and then immediately go to super limo driver service. And so it's like, just take the kid, or don't take the kid, or don't have a ski club, or do have a ski club. Just leave me alone. Leave Tom Shattuck alone. That's it. That's all I want. You don't have to. I don't want it. I'm not going to ask anything from you. I don't care what happens in ski club. I don't care if they're smoking crack and they've got switchblades and they stab a ski bunny to death and leave her to die. I don't care. You're not going to find. I am zero baggage. I am not going to be a problem for you. I don't care what happens for when they climb all the walls and we have to do the just leave me alone. Take the kids. Leave me alone. I swear to God, I grew up in the 1970s and 80s, and I walked to soccer, hung around. Listen to this. This happened 2 years in a row. This is thanks to Mr. Spaniard, Fred Spaniard's father. In Winchester, my friend Danny Smith was going to do soccer. I did baseball. I didn't really do soccer, but I hung around and walked with Danny to soccer, which was like a mile away to a field. Mm-hmm. They saw me hanging around, so the guy who ran soccer, which was a great guy, Mr. Spaniard, said, Tom, why don't you do soccer? Because I'm a piece of crap of a kid, said, we don't have the money. He felt bad for me, and I got impressed into a soccer team with a soccer shirt on. I did soccer one year. I went there every single day. I walked there to McDonald Field in Winchester. Mm-hmm. My parents, I'm pretty sure, never knew I was involved in soccer and had a uniform or where I was and what. Nobody ever needed anything from them. There was no permission slip. Nobody needed anything special. Nobody needed a Corey check to make sure the coaches weren't raping kids. I don't care. I just went to soccer and did soccer. I went to baseball and did baseball. I just did, parents didn't have to be involved.
Yeah, but that other guy was a parent, right?
Mr. Spaniard, mm-hmm. He ran the league. He was also a parent. His son was.
Yes. So if there weren't parents who did some stuff, then.
Yeah, but Alice, he simply drafted me onto a team. Yeah, I didn't pay. I was hanging out, and then I played, and then I had a team shirt on, which was by the way, maroon, which I hate. Of course, I couldn't get blue.
Sorry that happened to you. Sorry that happened to you. But you get my point, right? Is that that if there weren't some parent running the soccer, you wouldn't have done soccer.
Right. I would have been in my little dead-end street, and we would have played our own games all day.
Yeah, but our kids aren't going to do that if we leave them alone. They're going to sit on an iPad all day and turn into insane people.
I understand. Just... And it ticked me off about baseball a couple years ago, too. Was one of the parents was saying, guys... some of the kids, you just have them throw the ball against the wall, have them do something. Just throw the ball against the wall, have them do something so they get the fundamentals. It's I understand that I failed as a parent when it comes to baseball and all these other things, but times have changed. Kids just don't gravitate towards these things naturally anymore.
Some kids do.
Some kids do, but usually they're pretty much pushed into it. Mm-hmm. But there's I threw the ball against the wall as a kid because that's what I like to do. Mm-hmm. But there's no time. Well, actually, maybe this is a case in point. Maybe now we could be throwing the ball against the wall instead of doing this, I guess.
Yes, that's probably true.
But, just freaking leave me alone. God. We just got done with one play. What? Tryouts for another one. Great. What's he going to be, a lampshade this time? It's Jesus.
A lot of speculation in the chat saying you no longer seem to be gay, so.
Oh, yeah. Lashing out at the theatrical institutions, probably.
Splash says it sounds like you overdosed on testosterone supplements.
I did not. I just it's relentless. There was almost a second today where there wasn't anything for them to do, because tomorrow my daughter has to go to softball clinic, because that's how that works is now, because it's 2025, rather than everybody play in their neighborhood and get good at stuff, you have to spend thousands of dollars for a clinic for somebody who is in AAA ball to show them the science of hitting now. That's how it works. And you guys know this. If you're parents now, everybody's in clinics, and you spend thousands of dollars for these clinics where your little daughter will get a swing like Ted Williams. And then maybe she can travel to regionals. And then our friend BB, you know where he was traveling to from Albany?
From Albany.
They had
Maine.
He had to go, no, Alice, unless Maine is a place called Toronto. He had to go 6 hours each way into Canada for his son's soccer or lacrosse, whatever it is.
Travel team.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. We've got friends right across the street, including the guy you need to sleep with, who their son, they have to go to Providence sometimes.
Yeah, they go to weekend tournaments for all sorts of things. For gymnastics and softball and they go to all kinds of baseball, soccer. Like, they go to stuff all the time. Flag football. Everyone's playing flag football in Gillette and here and there and everywhere. Like,
it reminds me. That brings us to the Super Bowl, to the flag football ad.
We should talk about that. But that's. I mean, we are, as far as it goes, I think, less intense parents than a lot of these parents.
Well, when it comes to that, sports-wise, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the play stuff you talk about, I mean, like, these kids that are the leads in these plays have, like, vocal coaches, you know, they take, like, courses and they're coming in with their, like, little vocal, like, throat warm-up device. It hydrates their voice. And, like, there's all kinds of, like, they're taking, like, everybody is like this about everything now. You can't just, like, do stuff. Everybody, I mean, we are not doing the most intense parenting that's out there, for sure, in terms of stuff like that. I know it's a step above where it was, like, when we were kids in terms of this stuff, although in Lexington it was already kind of like this. But parenting has changed a lot in terms of, like, all of these kids' activities. All of them are, you know, people are doing this stuff out to the max, hiring tutors and hiring, like, all kinds of stuff.
To what end?
Well, to have their kids be able to get into a good college.
To what end?
To have their kids be able to, I don't know.
Jesus.
Get the same job you and I have anyway. Although it is funny, did I tell you? I forget if I think I told you, but I forget if I told these guys on the show that I was, like, applying Sally to some stuff, and she got, like, diversity points because technically she counts as, like, first generation college because the way the question is phrased. And it was like, the definition of first generation college is that neither one of your parents has a bachelor's degree. And I was like, oh.
Here we go.
Technically, that's Sally Shattuck. Neither one of her parents has a bachelor's degree.
Exactly.
So
DEIS all the way in.
Even though, like, we both have parents who are prestigious, like, or alums of prestigious universities and stuff, but, like, I guess it doesn't count. So she gets some equity credit for that.
There we go.
So there you go. But it's funny, like, everything is now super intense. All of this stuff.
Ugh. Ugh. Well, it also is our fault a little bit because we moved up here to where there's fewer things around. So everything's 50 miles away.
Yeah. No, I mean, but that's the way it is now with parenting. And sports is the worst, but it's like that with everything. It's like that with everything. I mean, it's just, you can't just, they don't just let kids be kids around. And it's funny because you even notice it, like, if you just go to playgrounds, there's not usually kids there.
Well, that's totally true. As
if you just drive through a neighborhood, there's not, like, kids playing outside.
Doing anything, which is why, as a matter of fact, today I was waiting for the kids to come home. I was excited. This is my life as a domestic goddess now. I was excited because I had reactivated some Mexican rice that we got from a restaurant the other day, and I had made it beautiful and fluffy again. And I was waiting on the boys because Sally wanted nothing to do with it. I was waiting on the boys so they would whack it out. I was excited about this. So I got the rice. It's nice and greasy and beautiful. And the bus stops, and 14 kids get off the bus. At the corner of where we are in the bus stop is a corner. We live in a corner lot, and of course, there's a huge mountain of snow there now because all the plows. And every child, save for one, walked right past the snow mountain, right to mom and dad, who, by the way, picked them up.
They drive to the bus stop.
They live 7 houses up the street.
Right.
But they drive to the bus stop to pick them up.
With the warm car.
The kids
and by the way, if I'm ever waiting out there with the baby, none of them offers me a spot in their car.
Well, that's not really their job to house you, but still.
No, but it is weird.
If I went out there and I had the baby and they offered me a spot in their car, I would never go out there again. But here's the thing, is that all but one child, including some pretty adventurous ones, walked right past the snow mountain. One child, Cyril Shattuck, climbed on the snow mountain and effed around out there for a while.
Yeah, he also did that on the way to the bus this morning and held it up.
That would be, in 1982, unheard of. As kids, we would never make it past that snow mountain. We would be in that thing, boring holes, making war, throwing snowballs at cars. There was no way we would have let that opportunity go. Right. But now, no. Now, because you can't just, do stuff, now all the kids walk regimented past the fun thing that's free, that's right there, that's seasonal to New England, that makes New England special, right past into their houses to wait to get brought to Seacoast Lacrosse at 4:30, and Seacoast Ballet at 4:45, and Seacoast Karate at 5, and Seacoast Playwright School at 5, and Seacoast. Everything is, a prefixed menu delivery. That's it. You don't do anything right here. You're going out to send you to all the things you're going to do.
They're waiting until there's a museum exhibit that travels in a traveling, exhibition show that comes that's the New England Play in a Snow Pile Winter that costs $70 a ticket to get into.
That's right.
And then you can go do a perfect Instagram shot of you sliding on a snow pile that's inside the Boston Convention Exhibition Center.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. They will play on a snow mountain when it costs $150 and it's 45 minutes away right in the middle of the day. That's what it is now. Which brings us to the Super Bowl. This is not going to get any more positive. So I want to say this about the Super Bowl. I had heard of Kendrick Lamar. I didn't, to be totally honest with you, until 2 days ago, I didn't know whether he was a basketball player or a rapper. I had no idea. Then I heard that he had beef with Drake.
Yeah. Your daughter's told you a lot about
who
this.
Who may or may not be a pedophile. I don't care if he. I don't care. I don't have any room for any of these thoughts about. I don't care. But so there have been some people who our daughters liked, some artists who actually I think are pretty good. Like she likes The Weeknd, who actually he's an interesting songwriter, very retro 80s, etc. She likes Dua Lipa, who is obviously means a lot to me, but who also is a good singer and dancer. She likes Taylor Swift, who's whatever Taylor is. So there are, but there's also
she likes Leve.
She likes Leve, who's like an interesting jazz kind of like person. There are some interesting people that these young people, they have a diverse palette as far as music, and there's some really interesting people. They also like some oldies and this and that. So there have been some winners that I've gotten through Sally Shattuck, and I've heard of Kendrick Lamar. And much like 10 years ago, when I was hearing about The Weeknd, I was like, who is this talentless loser? I heard his stuff, and I was like, but this guy's great. So we watched Kendrick Lamar last night. It was the first time I'd ever seen what he does. He's a professional rap artist.
How in New Hampshire says it's mumble rap.
So this is what my takeaway is on this. Kendrick Lamar sucks at everything, unless he's like a secretly good water skier. That shit that he was doing last night is rubbish. He's a talentless spam artist who's got no talent. And here's the thing. In the best case scenario, what they've done is, so rap sucks. 99.999% of rap sucks. It's not an art. It's not a talent. It's a verbal gimmick. It's a party trick. Rap sucks. It's not a high art. It's not being a musician. It's not being a singer. It's for the talentless to find a niche. Usually, that's why rap songs that are hits sample from actual good songs, or will have an actual singer in the song doing a song and then we can all endure the 45 minutes of rap in the middle of the thing and just like take it and pretend that we like the rap. But the rap is never the thing. It's rarely the thing. It's the thing in the case of maybe of Eminem, who stands out in the field. I'm sorry to tell you, I know that's inconvenient. I know that that's Jim Crow, but sorry, he's one of the very few interesting rappers. Kendrick Lamar last night gave us 20 minutes of straight on rapping. So there was no sampling. There was no a lyric or chorus sung by somebody with talent who could sing. There was nothing. There was just rapping. And rapping is slam poetry for illiterate people. This is a guy who cannot speak proper English, who uses words to move people. I'm sorry about this. This is the language of the stupid. It is a total, by the way, you know what it is? It's Jackson Pollock, except for music. Jackson Pollock is also a talentless hack loser.
I've heard art people tell me he's very talented.
Of course they would, because none of them believe it.
That it's like harder to do that and make it look good than it looks like.
No, it's not. It's not. Shel Silverstein is a better poet and artist than 99% of the people. So Kendrick Lamar has no talent. All he is an illiterate with an ego, which is bad for society to watch because people are clapping for this guy who only speaks in sentences but cannot speak in sentences. He is dumb. It's not uplifting. It's nothing new. And essentially, we're all praising somebody who could not make his way out of the third grade. He's an idiot. He's not even an interesting idiot. You know what tells me that I'm right about this?
What?
That he's won a Pulitzer. That tells me right there. Alice, remember some of the voices of the people who used to write columns for me and submit them to me? Mm-hmm. And I would show them to you and we'd say, this is nothing but several different bunch of words with punctuation is not even the problem. It's like none of this makes sense.
Take roughly some of the words from it, try and guess what they were trying to say, and just write a new column based on that.
Right. And then those people would go on TV as like
experts on stuff
of like the community and things, and it'd be like, okay, we're doing this. Okay, there you go. It's terrible. So Kendrick Lamar the good thing about last night's performance, I think, of Kendrick Lamar is now a bunch of Americans actually saw, oh, that's rap. Without anybody helping them out.
Rap is like really very popular.
That's rap without anybody
amongst white people too.
That's rap without any help from the American Disabilities Act. And so it's just the person who is compromised all alone. Let's clap for the person.
Speaking of all alone, it does seem like maybe did the Super Bowl halftime show not seem a little bit light on like pomp and circumstance and production value compared to a lot of years? I mean, because there have been other years when it's been rappers, and
yes, I would say so.
There's been more going on the stage, right?
Yes.
Like it seemed really like spare.
There's a reason why you overlay people over somebody like Kendrick Lamar. Because he sucks at that. And so, yes, it is, he's absolutely, it's like remarkable how talented. Like a few years ago, it was like Dre and Eminem and maybe Ice Cube or whatever, who were doing their thing. And that seems like high art now compared to this.
Yeah, do you remember the people like fake playing the instruments?
Yes, that's right.
But but there was like a show being put on, or like Katy Perry with the sharks. There were like dancing sharks and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Also not great, by the way.
Like there wasn't much happening, to be honest with you. No, it was. They're never great. The Super Bowl halftime shows are never great.
They have been great. Prince was great.
Okay, fine. Everybody brings up Prince.
U2 did a pretty good job for a pretty important year. There are some people who have talent who can play instruments and make songs go. But that was, to me, just shocking. And I had people say, "Oh, it's not meant for you," but we had bad, talentless people when I was growing up too, and we tended not to want to try to showcase them too much. You know, we had bad rappers too. We also had great rappers. Like Biz Markie was freaking brilliant compared to that moron yesterday. Oh, it's just like I feel bad because I saw my mother forced me to go to Sammy Davis Jr. in 1987 at the Cape Cod Melody tent of the South Shore Music Circus. I was a 15-year-old, you know, whatever. So I did not want to go. Sammy Davis Jr. was an old guy who had been in like the Cannonball Run movies, and I probably didn't even know he was in the Rat Pack back then. But I saw him, and it was the most amazing 3 hours I had ever seen, and I've ever seen till this day. He can croon, he can belt out like an opera singer, he can play 1,000 instruments, he can dance. This was back, you know, he was dead a year later. And he also could do stand-up comedy, and he owned the crowd. The most talented human being I have ever seen, Sammy Davis Jr., in the late 80s.
Trish says he's the most talented performer in history.
I agree with Trish. Absolutely. He was so talented, and he knocked my socks off. Once again, a 15-year-old. Sammy Davis Jr. at the time
was not your type of music.
No, but he did contemporary hits. It was insane how good this guy was. And I just feel bad for like Generation Z. My daughter's generation was like, I'm sorry, guys. You know that there are good choices, and they have them too. Generationally, there are really good people. Like Bruno Mars is really talented. He's really good. Like there are some really good people.
A lot of people who got ahead are really talented. To force this
illiterate moron on a bunch of people? Oh, it is. I just feel terrible. You're just missing out. It's terrible. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Okay. What's going on, everything? That, and I'll say this, that the commercial for
Nike.
Women for Nike
flag football.
Nike hates you if you're a woman. You should know. They
definitely do. So, and this is obvious. So they did the two ads that people are talking about. One is the ad that's very clearly, this is meant to be a response to all the criticism of them for not backing women's sports. You know, where they have all these like women athletes saying like, you can do it, like saying, you know, they said you can't fill the stadium, so fill the stadium. They said you can't compete, so compete, and all that stuff. And it has like Caitlin Clark and all these people in it. Sha'Carri Richardson.
Once again, stuffed with 1,000 straw men. They say you can't. Guess what they say? By the way, they say you can't is a reality for anybody trying to make it in like real sports. The men do it all the time and don't bitch about. You imagine this thing about male athletes? They said I couldn't. What? Say that. The idea is to have honor. You know, a tiny bit. They said we couldn't. And by the way, nobody said you couldn't. You're not facing headwinds. If you're a female athlete, you have a lot of tailwinds. As with the WNBA, with the exception of really one person, we're all making pretend the rest of you matter. And you don't.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly you have tailwinds in the sense of what Title IX used to be before the left decided to make it into the exact opposite thing of what it was meant to be, which was to protect women's sports and protect women's spaces in sports and ensure that women got the same amount of funding as men's programs did, which they obviously like don't generate anything like the kind of revenue for the university. It's just, you know, but it's like given a lot of women athletes a lot of opportunities and a lot of women a chance to go to universities very inexpensively comparatively by doing sports. So, I mean, those are things that have been incredibly beneficial to female athletes. And it's much easier to get ahead as a female athlete than as a male athlete in that sense. But very clearly, Nike was feeling the sting of being told they didn't care about women athletes. So they went out here with this big like women athlete push that was deeply insulting and condescending to women and women athletes.
Oh, totally.
But then they also ran this other ad in which a
This time there wasn't a straw man. There was a literal white man.
There was a whole gang of really like rugged, handsome looking, like Chad meme white men. One of whom was literally named Brad, and his shirt said Brad. And they face off
Toxic masculinity, guys.
They face off against a plucky woman of color in a game of flag football. And of course, because this is a fantasy happening in the marketing team's head and not anything like reality, the plucky small black woman can face off against the huge football team of Chad white guys.
Because they're, at the end of the day, all they are is their size and their stupidity. Because they're boorish, so all they can do is crush heads. But, in the thinking man's game of flag football, everything's equal.
Mm-hmm. Because clearly speed and reach don't matter in flag football. I wouldn't think at all.
So she beats them all. She beats the field.
So she beats them all. She jumps over them. They're all left in the dust. And then Nike tells us that they want to push to have girls varsity flag football in every state as a varsity sport.
Right.
Which, flag football is huge. Someplace I ran an article right at the Super Bowl saying, like, is flag football the future of football? The push has been here for it for a while. They've tried to make it's not called Little League for football. What's it called? Pop Warner.
Yeah.
They've tried to make like real little kids football illegal in Massachusetts. Right. People got very upset about that. You can say it's a future a lot. But all the moms that I know that said they would never ever let their little darling play tackle football have subsequently let their little darling play tackle football.
Yeah, but here's the thing is that the girls won't be better than the boys.
Even at flag, of course.
No, not at all. They're not going to be as good as the boys at all, which is why Nike had to pay a production company to make a pretend cast of people, including masculine toxic men who get beat by girls, because there's no footage of it ever happening ever anywhere, and there never will be.
Well, right, and part of the reason for that is too, like, girls do play a lot of flag football right now, and a lot of flag football is co-ed, not all of it, but a lot of it is, and part of the reason girls can play co-ed flag football competitively is because many of the more athletic boys are playing other sports, including tackle football.
Right.
Like, if the actual boys' high school football team came to play flag with you, they would ruin you.
Yes.
Like, that's just, I'm sorry that sounds unfair in life, but, like, that's just how it is. And the sooner everybody understands that that's true, like, the faster we'll be able to move on, like, to taking steps to protect women in women's spaces and in women's sports and in women's locker rooms and everything else.
You're doing no favors to these people, to these girls, telling them that they're great and important and relevant when they are not. Organically, Caitlin Clark has been a game changer because she's a standout. She's incredible. She's different. She is different. She is
and
the
if you
right
put her in
way.
the NBA, she
and
wouldn't
you get
be.
these a-holes like who I interviewed at the Mohegan Sun, Angel Reese, or whatever their names are, with these attitudes. These are mediocre athletes. I'm sorry. They're not as good. There's one good standout, and I know it's not great, but there's one, okay? And maybe the chick who was the hostage, whatever. But just like, let women have the glory that they deserve, that they've earned. Don't inflate it, because then the entire game is seen as a fraud. And then it's, okay, I see what we're doing. We're making pretend. I had a friend who used to tell me, he was married to this idiot. And he used to tell me all the time, she was a pain in the ass and like a sucky wife. She sucked. And anyway, a lot of you know who I'm talking about. And she, as a matter of fact, 20 years ago, she came to a Super Bowl party we had, and she told everybody to be quiet because she wanted to take a nap in the couch during the game. It's the kind of person. But anyway, he used to tell me, "You'll never believe how smart she is. My goodness!" Like when he and I would hang out, and I would be like, "Stop saying that." I'm willing to tolerate that this person is around. Don't tell me a bunch of horseshit, because there are concepts called intelligence and smarts and brilliance, and she ain't none of those at all. So just stop. Like, don't sell it too much. And that's what this is. Like, not only you girls going to have flag football, but you know what? The boys don't stand a chance. They don't. These stupid white men.
They don't know what's coming.
It's like, imagine that where you're a demographic that everybody feels so bad for you, and everybody has such a judgment of you that they feel they can't be honest with you.
Yeah, it's, you know what it is? Do you remember for a while, this is probably still out there and I just don't like follow the right news channels for it or whatever, but do you remember there was like a trend of letting a kid with like severe disabilities get a touchdown in the high school football game? But that's like how they treat all women.
Yeah.
That's like how they view all of womankind, is like, guess what? We let the disabled child run and get a touchdown again. Woo, look at you. You did it. Good job.
See our Nike ad? Whoa, none of the big, mean white guys can stop you. Whoa, wow, you're really on a breakaway now. Look at you. You've out-athletic to everybody. That's absolutely true. See? There you go. Bye, Nike. Jeez.
It's so insulting. It's so bad because there are incredible women athletes. But then if you pretend that they can beat men and tell this lie, you just make the whole thing ridiculous.
Yes.
Because then the conclusion has to be, oh, I see, women just suck at everything.
Well, right.
And that's not true.
It's not true.
Which, I don't know.
There is, on my daughter's softball team, there is more talent on their softball team than any team of women had in 1984, and many of the teams of men.
Right.
These girls don't, like, they're doing real things.
Been going
they're
to
getting
clinics.
Much better. Yeah, of course, because of the clinics. Because of the science of hitting. They all get the Dolph Lundgren treatment in Rocky now with all the machines and stuff like that. So my daughter might be a cyborg right now. I don't even know for sure. But, like, women are doing stuff. You don't have to blow smoke. You know, they're fine. And you know what? Most women can take it. Most women are going to be fine and don't need you to be excessive about stuff.
Well, yeah, but it goes back to like what we've always talked about, how like the girls section in the store is full of highly overcompensating sloganeering. The future is female. Girls rule the world. There's none of that on the boys' side.
No.
Because if you actually run the world, you don't need a t-shirt that says you do, because
no.
It would be like, it's
you don't
cringe
need a
and
whole,
embarrassing.
You don't need compensation style.
Right.
You know, I need some clothes to compensate. I need some clothes to tell me that I'm really thin. I want to wear those, and I expect you to go along with it. And all right, should we do some of this politics stuff? We don't have much time, but let's just...
I haven't followed politics.
All right, here's Donald Trump.
Totally honest.
The left is going nuts. They're all saying we have to hit the streets and kill Elon Musk and his backpack-wearing buddies who are the geeks, etc. like that. They're destroying the earth. Nothing new that we talked about this yesterday. Same stuff. Trump is in pure freaking I don't give a bleep mode. Here's him in the Oval Office today.
Mr. President, regarding the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Democrats, including Elizabeth Warren, have said that by freezing it, it's giving big banks and giant corporations the green light to scam families.
Pocahontas, the faker. That was set up to destroy people. She used that as her little person.
Wait. Where's the other Republican who's going to start the answer to that question with those comments?
No one is going to.
He could give a bleep.
Agency to go around and destroy people. And she's a fake. Just like she said she was an Indian, and she wasn't an Indian. You have more Indian blood in you than she has. She went to college based on the fact that she was an Indian. She got jobs based on the fact that she was an Indian. She's a fake.
You know, by the way, Trump, he's smiling as he says this, but he knows that the New York Times and the Washington Post are going to send some op-ed writer out to defend her on this.
Mm-hmm.
Send her. The Liz Warren story, it's complicated. You know,
right.
This is going to irk them. They're not going to be able to let this happen. He's saying these things out there. Pocahontas, fake Indian, fake. for a reason. I know it's not a news story, but it bothers them. He knows that the identity politics stuff is for them. They have no antibody for it. They can't absorb this. They can't be those people.
That was set up to destroy some very good people, and it worked. I mean, it worked. A lot of great people. I'll tell you, before I ever heard the term, people would come up to me in the Midwest and areas that say, "Sir, I'm being destroyed by them." They use that to destroy people. She's a nasty woman. She's a really nasty woman, despite her phony beer commercial. We did the right thing. That was a very important thing to get rid of. And it was also a waste. I mean, number one, it was a bad group of people running it, but it was also a waste. If you looked at when she really ran it, wow, that was a vicious group of people. They really destroyed a lot of people.
And you can confirm it's your goal is to have it totally eliminated, the
I would
agency?
say, yeah, because we're trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse.
He's right on with this stuff. He's right on.
Yeah. Can you imagine, by the way, how much access he's giving them?
Yep.
Not just to like talk to him, to his time, but like to his thought process, his thinking, you know, what he's prioritizing, what he's doing with his time, like what he's getting done. With Biden, there was none of this.
No.
And it's so incredible that now they're complaining that there's like too much happening with Trump. And it's really kind of backfiring on them in the way, like, remember, we talked about that CBS poll yesterday that was saying that everybody's saying Trump's getting done what he said he would do. He's high energy, he's focused and tough and like all these things. And he has like his highest approval rating he's ever had in the CBS poll. Part of that is because the media is going out here and going, oh my God, look at all this stuff Trump's doing. He's doing so many things. We can't keep up. He's doing all the things. Like, they're making him look better because they're freaking out like this. But it is funny. Brian Stelter tweeted this. Think about it. A year ago, you could go days without seeing or thinking about Joe Biden. Now you're lucky if you can go hours without thinking about President Trump. He's inescapable, and that's how he likes it. Today, the Super Bowl is also the Trump Bowl. Like, heaven forbid we know what the president is doing. Heaven forbid our allies and our enemies around the globe can see that we have an active, engaged president who's doing stuff. I did see his Hamas threats.
Well, I'm going to play that right now.
But yeah, heaven forbid, like, we have a president who's actually doing things and we know what things he's doing and he's making time to talk to the media and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
These whiny little bitches, like, they can't stop complaining.
Totally. And this is him on Hamas, and I want to get to this.
Or should the ceasefire then be off?
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that be because that's Israel's decision. But as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out.
So, in a lot of this is in response to the fact that the last batch of hostages, including American, were emaciated, had been starved to the point of almost dying. Apparently, they couldn't. They only started feeding some of them last week so they could walk out because none of them could walk. They've starved them. The
Just
speculation is
torture.
that a lot of psychological torture, holding them upside down, hanging them, torturing them, doing everything to them. And they've still got, I believe, the 2-year-old is still there.
Yeah.
Somewhere that they're holding, etc. etc. That's my etc. That they're holding. And just the mistreatment and brutality that you heard about the one guy who they let him believe that his family was alive, but they had killed his family, and he said he couldn't wait to see them, and they laughed at him.
Yeah.
So I think Trump, there's only so much that you can take, that Israel can take. The fact that there's a 2-year-old there, to me, as far as I'm concerned, you can flatten every fucking bit of Gaza and kill everybody in there. I don't care anymore. I don't care. if somebody in Hamas who either has taken the child or know that the child's taken is celebrating that the child is taken, can you imagine being the parents of a 6-month-old who is without his mommy now for 2 years? As far as I'm concerned, anybody in the know or who thinks that's cool or fine and doesn't have a problem with it, and any of their friends and their relatives and their cousins and their fifth cousins or anybody they saw at a Dunkin' Donuts, as far as I'm concerned, anybody in that sphere who knows that that's happening and is cool with it can get a bunker buster right up the ass and a bullet through the fucking head. All of them can die. I don't care about any of those people. If you're the cackling ones who little girls are being returned scared to death and you're in those cackling crowds, everybody in that crowd should get a bullet in the head. Everybody. And everybody who's at home saying, Abdul, go have fun out with the crowd at home, they should get a bullet in the head. I don't care. This is these people who are cackling and running a gauntlet of these scared people who were prisoners, including the 2-year-old. These people are vermin, and they should be treated as such. And I think Trump is right. Absolutely. Level the whole place.
I like, too, that, like, Egypt and Jordan are like, no, we can't take the people from Gaza because there will be too much of a terror threat to Israel if we take the people from Gaza.
I'm fine. This is what happens.
What is it that they think? I mean...
Right.
Everybody knows it.
If that little baby is delivered to them as a cadaver of a baby, then I say you move all assets out and you tell all the Palestinians who are in that area, who are Hamas-friendly Palestinians, you tell them to look up at the sky and you instruct them on the logistics and how an ICBM works. And you blast the holy shit out of that whole area and then say, yeah, I guess we war crimed it a little bit. Sorry, maybe next time around. Thoughts on that?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Trump is saying exactly what he should be saying. Exactly. Yeah. Messing around here. I was listening to the commentary podcast and Abe Greenwald was talking about walking through a college this weekend. I think it was Greenwald. It might have been Continental. And seeing all these Palestinian flags with the pride flags paired up together. Like, okay. So, sometimes at the end of the day, somebody has to go. And sorry. You know, it is the team taking 6-month-olds, torturing the family and putting them through all that stuff. Those guys and all their friends, sometimes they all have to die because you're not able to make it in this world. And I celebrate it. I think it's wonderful. I don't give a shit about all the city blocks. I don't care that, the bunker busters could care less. I'm a Team Israel because they're not the filthy vermin savages who did all the terrorist stuff to innocent people and cackled about it. And that's where I am. Anything else, Albie, or is that it? It's not been an overly positive show. Oh, I feel a lot better.
The chat seems to notice you feel better. Trish says she likes how you say 6-month-old. And he translated that instantly in Google Translate Rashadic speak in his head. So there you go.
6-month-old. A-hole. That's me. Hold on.
Any chat messages?
Hold on, bro. Okay. Are these all... Wait, did you open these already?
No. Is there not new ones?
Oh, no, okay. Sorry. I was on like page 500.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Mind your own business.
Okay, you asked me a question.
I'm not going to mention names, but there was a comment that Alice foolishly mentioned on the air last week where this person, and again, not going to mention names, said it was one guy telling another guy that he's not interested in women when I had mentioned that Tom not being interested in women right now is a bit. And again, I don't want to mention names. I don't want to talk about this person. It's not targeted at one person. But this person's wife did reach out to me over the weekend and said that she's been drier than the Sahara Desert
What?
below the waist for the last 20 years. And
Mm-hmm.
she's really concerned because every time she tries to offer said person the opportunity,
Wait a second. Who's that? Is that you?
No.
Who?
The person in the chat who said this about Steve from Gloucester.
Wow.
turns it down. And I guess the reason is because he's looking for more equipment below the waist than what she has to offer. So I feel bad because this nice lady, and again, not going to
Is this? Oh, this is shot at Steve from Merrimack?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
mention names, is probably going to be dry for many years to come.
Jeez,
And, you know, obviously I feel bad for her. So
This has got to go in the back room at Blockbuster, this episode.
I don't know. Again, don't want to mention names, but, you know, I do wish that Alice maybe shouldn't have said that comment because now that's how the rumor mill gets going. So I don't know what to tell you guys.
Wow, that is vicious innuendo. By the way, I got another mole, by the way, who went after you, attacked you today.
Me?
Yeah, for saying like, I think, a lot.
That's true. I say like a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Getting ugly.
As I was traveling again today, I was listening to your podcast. And yeah, sorry, Alice. It's unfortunate that you have to become a concubine for Tom because of snow removal obligations. It's just how it works.
Yes, correct.
You know, I guess growing up in Lexington or wherever it was you grew up, they didn't have this rule
We didn't
going
have
around,
that.
but it's
Yeah.
it's pretty systemic
Yes.
globally.
Mhm.
So, you know, just chalk it up to one of those unspoken rules. But what I really wanted to call about was you mentioned the flat spin that the Democrats were in, and
Yes.
that's the thing that killed Goose and Top Gun.
Yeah.
And when you go into a flat spin, it
Mhm.
is nearly, I'll say nearly
Can't get out.
impossible to get out of it.
Too many G's, you can't hit the button, you're done.
I think it has happened, but it is rare to get out of a flat
Mhm.
spin. And if you've ever seen it, I've seen World War II footage of planes going into flat
Oh, yeah.
spins. Man, it's nightmarish. And I just hope that the Democrat Party winds up the same way. 114.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm all for it. I do think Goose technically got out. Either the plane didn't get out of it. He ejected into his canopy, and that was the problem. I think it broke his neck. Thoughts on
Jeez.
Top Gun?
Haven't seen it.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Where did Steve from Gloucester get the idea that Travis Kelce is somehow now part of MAGA or is conservative? I mean, I know Mahomes' wife
Mhm.
is pro MAGA. I don't know that Patrick Mahomes has ever made a pronouncement about that. And Kelsey, do I need to remind you? This is the same guy that last year was doing ads for the COVID shot.
True.
Like at least more than 2 years after the cat was completely out of the bag on how useless these things were.
Yeah, Steve, I do think that, like, you look at the Kelsey brothers and you think, okay, these are dudes who have all the trappings of Trump voters, or just the way they live, etc. I mean, who knows now? I mean, actually, him wearing that pimp suit after the game last night, you got to think before the game, just in case we get blown out, maybe I should bring a change of clothes, not dress like the biggest pimp in the world.
And and finally, I don't think Tay, whom Alice correctly described as a lefty, I don't think Tay would deign to be with a, as she sees it, knuckle dragging MAGA person.
Right.
I do not think that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Ready,
Yeah.
Albie?
I do think, I think anybody even, I mean, remember during the campaign, the Kamala or just after the campaign, the Kamala campaign complained that like sports podcasts and stuff wouldn't have them on.
Right.
And I think that if you're even sort of sports adjacent, that it's like really hard with the gender divide. You can't alienate that much of your audience like that, right?
Well, what do you mean? I mean,
Sports viewers are there's a lot of men, right?
Well, yeah, but there are people in politics who could go in there and win. There are, and
Yeah, but my
like
point
it's like
is,
for Kamala, it's funny because it's like for Kamala, they just had her do the whore podcast. It doesn't seem like it was.
but
maybe.
my point is that like these places don't want to lose credibility with their audience by propping up someone their audience thinks is a fraud.
Well, that's up to the host to make sure you.
Do you know what I mean, though? It's
Sure,
like,
but propping up is one thing, but it's up to the host to like Trump was on. I forgot his name, Schultz, the Schultz podcast, and he gave him crap the whole time because he didn't want to be walked over by Trump or deal with his BS. I think the same with.
Well, right, but Kamala's team wasn't going to let her do anything that was.
Well, right, because she would try to win
like that. They
right.
wrote the questions
right.
for Call Her Daddy.
Oh, did they really?
I think they did. Didn't they give her questions to ask her? I think that a lot of people, particularly ones who are fairly media savvy, which the Kelseys obviously are, and, somebody like Tom Brady or Gronkowski, anybody who's, got their PR together a little bit, has to realize that it's not like good branding for them to be out here shilling for this party right now.
Right.
So I think they're deliberately shutting up about it.
I agree with it.
Elon and Doge are doing a great job
Yes.
of cutting off the stream of Social Security checks to people who don't have a valid Social Security number. But I'm wondering if they will also look into families that are receiving Social Security checks from their family members who died. Because I know that when my parents died, I had to send in a copy of the death certificate. I had to notify the government. And, they stopped sending us checks. But
it's a tough one now. I'm a different person than I was 20 years ago when my dad died. I think
they'd have to try really hard to claw it back from you. So
I'd have to have Sally go and deposit it. I'd have to have one of the kids go to deposit it. The Patsy.
Will you take it back in fireball nips?
wondering if there are families out there that never went through that process and are still getting checks because I'm sure the government never took the time to check out whether or not the person in question receiving the checks is dead or alive. So I'm sure Doge could save a lot more money if they do that check as well.
Well, Elon says it's not deduped.
Deduped?
Not deduplicated. Like, they don't check to make sure there's not two people with the same Social Security number collected.
Oh, really? Can I say one thing? Is it I'm going to come around on Doge and want Elon and the backpack kids he's with to go to jail, as Democrats do.
When you get caught.
No, if he takes my EBT.
That's the state of Massachusetts.
Still. No. You stay right away from that. Right away from that. That's mine.
Tom.
Yes.
This is my impression of Alice.
Oh.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
Right.
What a vicious attack on you, and absolutely true.
Totally true.
Right. You have to shovel the driveway, right? Right? Is that what you were saying?
I guess so.
That is correct.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Regarding the Kendrick Lamar halftime show,
Yes.
do you remember they gave this MFer a Pulitzer Prize a couple of years ago, which is more a statement on how completely ridiculous, superfluous the Pulitzer Prize has become. But it was completely unintelligible.
Correct.
And I have two of his records. I have To Pimp a Butterfly, which is pretty good, and I have his record Damn.
What an asshole, Steve. Really?
Wait, but are they on vinyl?
I bet you they are. Oh, my God. Who are you trying to impress? What group of dudes? You know what he's got? Probably there's some black dudes who live in the neighborhood, and he's like, I'm going to show them I'm down. Hey, fellas, just kicking back with Kendrick. You don't like that music. It's not music, Steve. You know that's crap. Oh.
He's featured on a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah, I know that song, Alice. The moment his part comes in, it's time to move. Oh, Steve. Oh, you poser. That is low. Oh, I like a couple of his albums. That's Steve surviving at some high-powered pharma sales mixer in certain groups. When he goes matriculates to a certain table, I can't get it. Just an earworm with the new Kendrick stuff that dropped. The diss track on Trey, whatever is the diss track.
Drake.
Yeah. Can't get over it. What a hook, right, boys? I mean, fellas. I mean, right? Oh, Steve from Merit Mike. That is rough.
Which is a very good record.
It's not.
For the most part. But I could not understand one thing he was saying throughout the entire performance. And I know there was like some messaging involved with the people dressed in red, white, and blue making the American flag, about how the American country was built on the backs of slaves and all this other shit. But how effective is the message if you can't understand it? And it's supposedly, he sang part of this diss track for him and Drake. By the way, nothing the American public loves more than two unintelligible performers accusing each other of pederasty. Okay, it's gosh, they're playing our song as it goes. But oh my God, what a freaking nightmare! Okay, hang on. 131, 132, 133.
Wow. To your ever shamed. Oh, that is. Oh, God. That is tough. So we're going to have to do a show just about Steve tomorrow, I think.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thank you for the messages. Thank you for being here in the chat. If you want to join the live chat for every show, that's at...
Timmy Canton called today and told me that these people, we might have talked about this before, that these people, because there was a Jeep ad last night, that these, like the Jeep people leave each other little rubber ducks on... those ducks that we have from the free machines that we've got 1,000 because we've got 1,000 kids?
Yeah.
So Jeep people, Harley people have a little wave. The Jeep people now have a wave, and they leave each other ducks on their Jeeps.
Is this true?
Yeah. So you'll have a Jeep, and somebody in a parking lot will stop, pull over, and leave you little rubber ducks on your Jeep. And that's the thing we're doing right now, which is, it's like Steve having Kendrick Lamar on vinyl, which he claims to have. This is what I have to say about these reports of leaving little ducks on Jeeps, is that we need to be in a world war, this country, and we need to lose 200 million people in the war.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to join us in the live chat, you can do that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. If you like listening, if you're free, you can go to burnbarrelpodcast.com. There's links to all places to listen. YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places. See you tomorrow.
C'est la vie.